My neighbor kept parking in my driveway, so I parked behind him and went out of town. So this guy Brett moved in next door like 6 months ago and immediately decided my driveway was community property or something. First time it happened, I thought maybe he was just confused about where his property line was. I left a note on his windshield that said, "Hey man, that's my driveway. Yours is the one on the left." Pretty reasonable, right? Next day, his truck was there again. I knocked on his door, and he answered in a stained tank top holding a beer at like 2 in the afternoon. I told him again that he was parked in my driveway, and he just shrugged and said his driveway had a crack in it, and he didn't want to mess up his suspension. His truck was a beat-up Ford from like 2003. I'm pretty sure that suspension was already done for. I told him I needed him to move it, and he said he would later. Later turned into 3 days. I had to park on the street and haul groceries an extra 30 feet in the rain. When I finally saw him outside, I asked him what the deal was, and he told me to relax because it wasn't that big of a deal. He actually said I was being dramatic, so I stopped being nice. I called a towing company, and they said unless I had it posted as a private driveway with signs, they couldn't do anything without police involvement. I called the non-emergency line, and the cop who showed up basically said it was a civil issue, and I should take him to small claims court if it kept happening. He did tell Brett to move the truck, though, and Brett did with this huge attitude like I had just ruined his whole life. 2 weeks later, his truck was back in my driveway. At this point, I was losing my mind. I had asked nicely. I had asked firmly. I had gotten the cops involved, and this guy still thought he could do whatever he wanted. Then my cousin Jesse called and asked if I wanted to go camping upstate for a long weekend. 4 days, leaving Thursday morning. I said yes immediately because I needed to get away from my idiot neighbor. But Wednesday night, I looked outside and saw Brett's truck sitting in my driveway again, and that's when I had the idea. Thursday morning, I packed my car with all my camping stuff and drove it around the block. Then I walked back, got in my old Honda that I barely drive anymore because it burns oil like crazy, and parked it directly behind Brett's truck, like bumper to bumper close. Then I took the keys and left for 4 days. I didn't tell anyone. I just left. When I got back Monday afternoon, there were 6 texts from Brett, and 2 from some number I didn't recognize. The first text from Brett said, "Hey man, I need to move my truck. Can you move your car?" That was Thursday at noon. By Friday, the texts were getting more angry. Saturday, he called me a jerk and said he had to call out of work. Sunday, he said he was going to have my car towed, and I texted back from a gas station saying good luck. It's my property and my driveway. When I pulled onto my street, I could see Brett standing in his front yard with his arms crossed. His truck was still trapped, and my Honda was exactly where I left it. I parked my good car on the street, walked past him without saying anything, and went inside. He started banging on my door 5 minutes later. I opened it, and he was red in the face, yelling about how I made him miss work, and how he had to get his girlfriend to drive him around all weekend. I just stared at him and said, "Well, you were parked in my driveway, so I parked in my driveway too. What's the problem?" He said I blocked him in on purpose, and I said, "Yeah, I did." He sputtered for a second and then said, "That was illegal," and I told him no, it wasn't, because both vehicles were on my property. He threatened to sue me, and I said, "Go ahead. I have 6 months of documentation showing you trespassing on my property." His girlfriend came outside and dragged him back to their house. I moved my Honda like an hour later just because I didn't actually want it sitting there forever, but I made him sweat first. Brett's truck hasn't been in my driveway since. He won't even look at me when we're both outside. His girlfriend apologized to me once when she was getting mail and said he's stubborn, but he got the message. I just nodded.